Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something simple but profound. Success has a price tag, and the name on that tag is sacrifice. Now, I don't mean sacrifice like some grand, noble tragedy. I mean daily decisions. Small disciplines, giving up what's easy for what's meaningful. I mean turning off the television so you can turn on your future. I mean saying no to one more excuse so you can say yes to one more breakthrough. Here's what I learned early on. You can have anything you want, but not everything you want. If you want success, you might have to give up sleeping in. If you want to become wealthy, you might have to give up weekends of wasting time. If you want health, you might have to sacrifice fast food and fast living. The problem is, most people want success until it asks them to give something up. They want the dream without the discipline, the gain without the grind. But the truth is, you can't climb the mountain while holding onto your couch. One of the greatest lessons I ever learned is that discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. And every time you make a sacrifice, you're lightening the load of future regret. Now, don't get me wrong. Sacrifice doesn't mean suffering forever. It means putting in effort now so you can enjoy rewards later. It's planting in the spring so you can harvest in the fall. The farmer doesn't complain about the planting. He understands it's part of the process. Success is not something you pursue. It's something you attract by the person you become. And who do you become? The person who shows they're serious, by what they're willing to let go of. You want a better future. Great. What are you willing to trade for it? Time, comfort, old habits, that's the deal. You can't download success overnight. It's not an app, it's a lifestyle. Every sacrifice you make for your future, every minute you invest, every distraction you eliminate, every temptation you resist is like laying a brick. One sacrifice at a time, you build the foundation of a life you're proud to live. So the next time life asks for a sacrifice, don't shrink back. Smile, nod, say, I'm ready, because on the other side of that sacrifice is success. Every sacrifice is a signal of seriousness because it reveals a person's willingness to give up comfort, convenience, or short-term gratification in exchange for something more meaningful and lasting. When someone chooses sacrifice, they are demonstrating that what they are pursuing is not just a casual interest, but a core priority. It's easy to say we want success, growth, or transformation, but real commitment shows up when we start giving things up to make it happen. Sacrifice draws a line between the interested and the invested. Many people are interested in success. They like the idea of it, they talk about it, they might even start something, but only a few are invested enough to pay the price. That price often comes in the form of time, energy, relationships, sleep, entertainment, comfort, or even ego. The willingness to sacrifice these things isn't about being extreme, it's about being clear. You don't give up good things because you're reckless. You give them up because what you're reaching for matters even more. When someone wakes up early every morning to build a business before their day job, that's sacrifice. When someone turns down social invitations so they can study for a major exam or prepare for a competition, that's sacrifice. When a person stops indulging in unhealthy habits to create space for physical or mental wellness, that's sacrifice. And these choices signal something deeper. They send a message, not just to others, but to oneself, that this goal, this vision, this dream is worth everything it takes. Sacrifice also proves alignment. When actions are aligned with goals, sacrifices become natural. If someone says they want to become financially free but continues to overspend, there's no alignment. But when they start budgeting, turning down unnecessary purchases, and investing instead of consuming, those sacrifices reflect sincerity. The seriousness of the goal shows up in how consistently someone acts in service of it, especially when it's hard. People often notice what you're willing to sacrifice. It inspires respect, builds credibility, and separates you from the average. Seriousness isn't always measured in what you do. Sometimes it's seen in what you don't do. You don't procrastinate. You don't indulge every craving. You don't drift without purpose. That absence of distraction becomes a signal. It communicates drive. It lets others, and yourself, know that you are not just talking about change, but creating it. The human mind recognizes patterns, and sacrifice is a pattern that strengthens identity. Every time you choose sacrifice over comfort, you reinforce the belief that you are a disciplined, committed person. It becomes easier to make tough decisions the next time because your self-image has shifted. You're no longer someone who hopes things change. You're someone who makes things change, one deliberate sacrifice at a time. It's also important to note that sacrifice is often unseen. The hours you spend working in silence, the moments you say no, when no one's watching, the effort you give with no applause. These aren't glamorous, but they're powerful. Sacrifices done in secret often yield the strongest results because they're made purely for the goal, not for the praise. Sacrifice isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet and consistent, choosing to stay focused during the day when distractions are everywhere, or practicing the same skill over and over when progress feels slow. These small sacrifices compound. Day after day, they build resilience and momentum, and over time they create results that others call luck or talent without seeing the sacrifices behind them. Every serious goal will eventually test how much you're willing to let go. That's the nature of growth. It requires space. You can't hold on to everything and still move forward. Sometimes you have to sacrifice relationships that no longer align with your path. Sometimes it's old habits, comfort zones, or limiting beliefs. The process of letting go isn't always easy, but it's essential. When you sacrifice what's holding you back, you create room for what can take you forward. Sacrifice doesn't mean loss, it means investment. You give up something lesser to gain something greater. The equation is simple. If the outcome is worth more than what you're giving up, it's not really a loss. It's a step forward, but this only makes sense when you're serious. If you're halfway committed, sacrifice feels like a burden, but when you're all in, it feels like fuel. Even in relationships and leadership, sacrifice communicates seriousness. When leaders sacrifice personal gain for the good of the team, people follow. When someone sacrifices time and energy to show up for another person, that builds trust. In every area of life, sacrifice is a currency that signals commitment. You can't fake it for long. Eventually, what you're willing to give up reveals what you truly value. It's not about being perfect. Everyone struggles with sacrifice at some point. What matters is the direction. Are you moving toward your goal or away from it? Each sacrifice is a step, and over time, those steps lead to places that shortcuts never could. The world is full of people looking for easy answers, but success often belongs to those who chose the hard road on purpose. Sacrifice is serious business because it's tied to time, and time is life. Every hour you spend working on your dream is an hour you didn't spend elsewhere. That's why it matters. You are giving a piece of your life to this goal. That's not casual, that's commitment. And that is why every sacrifice matters. It reflects that you are not just playing around with the idea of growth. You are choosing it, living it, becoming it. The seriousness behind sacrifice is also what helps you push through setbacks. When you've given something up to chase a goal, you're more likely to keep going. You have skin in the game, you've paid a price, and you don't want it to be wasted. That level of buy-in makes your vision stronger and more resilient. It's not a wish, it's a decision backed by action. In the end, every sacrifice builds the foundation of success. not because it guarantees results instantly, but because it forges the kind of character that produces results inevitably. Sacrifice refines focus, deepens discipline, and strengthens resolve. It turns your goals from hopeful ideas into serious missions, and once you cross that line, once your sacrifices reflect your seriousness, nothing can stop you. Short-term pain brings long-term gain because the struggles, discomforts, and sacrifices we endure now often lay the groundwork for a better future. It's a principle rooted in every area of life, whether it's health, finances, relationships, education, or personal growth. Temporary pain can be a stepping stone to lasting success if it's endured for the right reasons and directed toward meaningful goals. Pain in the short term usually comes from discipline, delayed gratification, and consistent effort. It's the early mornings when you'd rather sleep. It's the workouts that push your body. It's saying no to instant pleasure because you're building something better. It's making tough choices that don't feel good today but will pay off tomorrow. These aren't comfortable experiences, but they are powerful investments. When someone chooses to go through short-term pain, they're making a trade. They're giving up ease and comfort in the moment to earn freedom, strength, or achievement in the future. That's a wise exchange. Most people avoid pain and look for shortcuts, but those who understand growth know that struggle is not something to run from. It's something to embrace. Pain can be a teacher, a refiner, and a builder. This idea is what separates those who merely dream from those who actually achieve. Dreams don't become reality by wishing. They require work, and that work often hurts. But it's in the moments of pain, when others quit or get distracted, that the real champions are made. The willingness to keep going, to keep sacrificing, to stay focused when everything in you wants to give up. That's where the long-term gain starts forming. Success is built in the quiet, unseen moments of hard effort. It's built in the lonely hours when you're practicing, preparing, and pushing through resistance. That's why short-term pain matters so much. It builds the internal muscle necessary to handle long-term rewards. Without struggle, success is hollow. Without pain, progress is shallow. It's the effort that makes the result meaningful. One of the greatest traps people fall into is the pursuit of comfort. Comfort feels good in the moment, but it doesn't produce growth. Comfort zones keep people stuck. The people who rise above average are those who consistently step into discomfort, not recklessly, but purposefully. They understand that pain has a purpose, that discomfort is a sign they're stretching, and that discipline isn't punishment, it's preparation. Think of a student who chooses to study instead of party. That's short-term pain. They're missing out on fun, maybe losing sleep, maybe pushing themselves beyond what feels easy. But years later, that same person may be thriving in a career they love because of the foundation they built when others were chasing ease. The pain was temporary, but the reward became a part of their life. The gym is another example. The pain of lifting, sweating, and sore muscles is real. It's uncomfortable, but it leads to strength, health, confidence, and energy. Those gains last far longer than the initial discomfort. Skipping the gym may feel good now, but it comes at a cost later. Choosing the pain of effort now prevents the pain of regret later. In finances, saving money and living below your means is hard when everyone else is spending. It feels restrictive, but that short-term discipline can lead to financial freedom, investments, and opportunities others can't afford. It's not always easy to say no to spending, but that temporary pain gives birth to long-term peace of mind. Relationships benefit from this principle too. Having tough conversations, being honest when it's uncomfortable, setting boundaries. These things can feel painful in the short term, but they build stronger, healthier, more authentic connections in the long run. Avoiding the discomfort may feel easier in the moment, but it often leads to resentment or disconnection. Facing the pain can lead to healing and trust. In personal development, growth always comes with discomfort. Facing your weaknesses, admitting your faults, changing habits, and confronting fears. None of these are pleasant. But each time you endure that pain, you grow stronger, wiser, and more capable. And that inner strength becomes a foundation for long-term resilience and confidence. The most successful people in the world often have stories of pain. They've failed, been rejected, felt lost, or endured challenges that would break the average person, but they kept going. They embraced the pain as part of the process. They didn't let discomfort stop them. That pain shaped them, prepared them, and positioned them for the breakthroughs that came later. This mindset isn't just about enduring pain, it's about understanding it. Pain that comes from purpose is different from pain that comes from aimlessness. Purposeful pain, the kind you choose because you're pursuing something worthwhile, has meaning. It's the cost of excellence. It's the price of admission to greatness, and it's always worth it in the end. Time plays a key role here. What seems like pain now will often fade in memory, but what you gain from enduring it will last. The early sacrifices will become the story behind the success. The grind will become the glory. You may not feel the reward instantly, but that's how compound growth works. You plant seeds in the hard ground now, and you harvest abundance later. The world is filled with distractions, quick fixes, and temptations to escape pain, but none of those bring real gain. They offer temporary relief but lead to long-term stagnation. The people who stand out are those who resist the impulse to quit, who stay in the game when others check out. They choose temporary discipline over long-term disappointment. You can always tell how serious someone is by how they handle pain. If they avoid it at all costs, they limit themselves. If they embrace it wisely, they unlock doors most never see. Pain isn't the enemy, it's often the compass. It points to the areas where growth is waiting. It shows where the breakthrough is being born. When you reframe pain as a stepping stone rather than a roadblock, your entire attitude shifts. You stop complaining about the hard things and start seeing them as part of the reward. You stop waiting for things to get easier and start getting stronger. You stop looking for shortcuts and start building character. And that character is what carries you when motivation fades. Every moment of pain becomes an investment. Every time you push through when it's tough, you're depositing something into your future. That deposit multiplies. It shows up in unexpected ways, in the opportunities you're prepared for, the confidence you carry, the doors that open because you didn't quit. So the question isn't whether pain will come. It will. The question is what kind of pain you choose. The pain of discipline today, or the pain of regret tomorrow. One is temporary, the other lingers. One builds you, the other breaks you. One leads to a life of fulfillment, the other to a life of what if. Short-term pain is a wise teacher and a faithful friend. It may not feel good in the moment, but it leaves behind something lasting. The long-term gain that follows is always richer, deeper, and more satisfying than anything comfort could offer. It's the reward for the brave, the consistent, the disciplined, and those who choose it build lives worth living, lives defined not by what was easy, but by what was earned.